and start it up again. There we go. That way it's a little easier. That's a much more bite-sized chunk, I guess. I decide to post or not. And let's do this.
Khazen, why do you insist on fighting me? You see, the real enemy is humanity. Ozma, look at how you've changed, and what you've become.
Oh, I dodged into it because he was aiming at the spirit, not me. Okay, cool. Okay, we're going with full confidence for this next part. It's not fair that you do this when you were this far away. That's fine. That's fine.
Chaos. It will bring you unimaginable power.
Had to get back into the groove of it. Get back in the mindset. Say I remember 3 phases. Yeah, the number 82. I was like, yeah, I probably did an 82 attempt or something in the ballpark because I know there was quite a few attempts made without spirits because I felt like they were not worth using. But then, and after a little bit, I was like, ah, fuck, I'll start using them to help me get through the first phase. So maybe it's not exactly 82, but it's a number. And working on a duo. Me mistiming that attack. Okay. I need to get back in the groove of fighting this guy. Ay, caramba. All right. Just got awake. Now still shaking off some of the rust. Hopefully this doesn't take forever, because then, in theory, I could give myself a good 5 hours for the latter half of the stream before 13 Sentinels. I think we'll be good. It will be good. Jeez, that melted me. Okay, part 2.
Khazen, we saved this world. Do we not then have the right to destroy it?
Oh, I dodged too soon on that.
Khazen, why do you refuse to
Well, that's fine. I got back to phase 2,
to let go
and then we
of
can
that mortal shell?
get to phase 3. All right, getting better though. I am getting better. Getting back in the groove of things. Oh. Really, it's already gone. Ah, fuck. Got frozen, so I couldn't. Oh, I couldn't do anything. God damn it. All right. Get in the game. Get back into the game. Final boss. Let's not be here all day, Dan. You can do this. Got this. That wall is starting to cave in. Made a couple good dents. There we go. little bit of the energy hit me on the corner. God damn it. I was literally about to heal, but I'm like, let me dodge out of the way first because I wasn't sure where the wave was going to be coming from. Well, look. We know it gets real sad when I use 100 of those spirits. I've used 50. But we know it's sad when I use the full amount that I had available. Don't go on a fire. Ow. Alright, back to phase 2 with way more confidence in tow. Nice try, you thought I was stunned! right, let's go. I fucked up again. Fuck you, Ozma. With 2 health left, 2 heals left. I beat you.
Khazen, why do you stubbornly refuse to understand?
Was overload on the cutscene. Oh. Because they're still at the end of the day, they're still friends. Hold his hand.
Khazen, I'm sorry.
Do it, Khazen.
Phantom, show yourself. It's over. It's all over.
Ozma's quarters? A few days later, Khazen finds himself on the outskirts of Vitalon, making his way to the last place Ozma had visited. The Empire fell, reduced to ruins, leaving Khazen with nothing. The weight of killing Ozma with his own hands is now a deep, haunting nightmare that clings to him. Despite knowing there's nothing more to be done, he returns to the place where Ozma's memory still lives. Oh.
This sword.
Khazen, is this really for me? Thank you. You teach me to fight with it, and I'll teach you to use magic. Together, we'll be unstoppable.
How beautiful. Thank you, Khazen. I wish we could stay like this forever. The three of us together.
Reese.
What's the important there? Khazen in armor, like knightly armor. Ozma in his robes and Reese. Eric dress. Like, wow, they were really the best of friends, huh? We didn't really see a ton with them, unfortunately, together, but they did a really good job making you feel the weight of this relationship.
You dare defy us!
Mm-hmm.
Reese, no! Reese, wake up, please. Kill him! Kill the traitor!
To think we once called you a hero!
So, this is my reward for saving the Empire from the evil of Isma. I see now. The real evil is humanity itself.
Understandable.
What was the point of ripping the world apart with your hatred?
That was the point. Point was the hate. Now we go upstairs. This is a nice little house. Now we can. The day the black moon rose. The day the black moon rose, I came upon something extraordinary in El Ravika's lab. It wasn't a substance, not in the usual sense. It was more like energy, power, nearly indistinguishable from air. Yet, when I first discovered it, it bore the shape of an eye. The moment I touched it, an overwhelming sensation of raw power coursed through me, something I had never experienced before. It quickly dissolved and vanished as if it had guided me to its presence. The deeper I studied this power, the stronger my magic grows. Perhaps I could even help Khazan defend the Empire against Hismar. This power might hold the key to bringing salvation to the world. Each time I use it, my body burns with an insatiable thirst for power. Hismar Conquest. In the fight against Hismar, Khazan and I risked everything. My strength fell short, and I could barely offer him support. Just as Hismar prepared to unleash his final strike, Khazan lunged at it once more. My dearest friend charges forward, placing unwavering trust in me. How could I ever turn a blind eye to him? Chaos is wild and treacherous. Excuse me. But I had no choice. I had to wield its power. And finally, Hismar fell. Khazan was unharmed, but this feeling of unease remains with me still. My hunger for chaos is unbearable. Prophecy. I came across the rumored prophecy in the royal archives. It tells of a song echoing through the Emperor's Grand Hall, praising the two wolves who brought down the Berserk Dragon. One day, the aged lion, the Emperor, will be torn apart by the fangs of the wolves. It's plain as day that the two wolves represent Khazen and I. Trying to track down the one who dared to utter such nonsense into the Emperor's ear under the guise of prophecy proved fruitless. They vanished without a trace, as if they had never existed at all. There is one thing that truly captured my attention. A symbol resembling a tearful eye in the prophecy matches the mark found in the substance I discovered on the day the black moon rose. Reese. Even with Hismar's death, the paradise I longed for never came. No matter where I turn, all I see is hell stretched out before me. Khazen and Reese are gone, no longer by my side. What was the point of killing Hismar if the only two people I cared about are no longer by my side? What use is being the Empire's greatest mage? There's nothing left of me now. Just a hollow shell, clinging to life against its will. I need to know why the Emperor's guards murdered Reese, but they no longer walk this immortal plane. Their bodies each bore a mark in the shape of an eye, as though they were branded, slaves to a master. Yet there was nothing to be seen in the eyes. Damn.
If it were not for the eye, Ozma would never have known about chaos. The influence of the eye is clear in everything you've lost.
Just like Ozma in the beginning of the game.
I thought I had lost everything, but I was wrong. I still have
Revenge.
my revenge.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good game. That was a really good game. Man, I yeah, if we were to go by the same logic, I would have spent probably another hour. I started at 1, so probably another 2 hours going up against that boss, so that would have been like a hell. This is already a, you know what, we're just gonna listen. That's a really good song. That was a really good song. They did good with that. Yeah, we're just gonna let the credits roll and then we'll discuss. I'll talk my overall thoughts. Just in case there's like copyright BS. It's a lot easier just to mute the whole section. Without me having to. So, just vibe for a little bit. Hey. And make sure there's nothing last minute. You've reached the end of your journey. You can revisit and replay previous completed missions through the spectral portal or start a new adventure by speaking with Blade Phantom. Enter the ultimate challenge. For shits and giggles, let's upgrade it. you have any dialogue?
So, this is Ozma's end. If we hadn't stopped him, he would have corrupted everyone. He would have destroyed the world.
You made the right decision, sir. If you did anything else, things would have been much worse. I hope you can make peace with yourself. If you ever need me, just send word. I'll stand by your side, no matter what. You did it, General. It was not easy, but you did it. I swear on my life that I will follow you until the end.
You saved us all, General. We want to help however we can. The Bantu never forget a debt.
And that fight only gave me 20k.
Oh, look at that. A new design.
Oh, I got a new design, huh? Oh, Master of Chaos set. Oh, okay.
Took down Ozma. I know he was like a brother to you. But don't forget, what you did saved everyone.
You have succeeded. But victory does not always mean happiness. Remember though, time heals all wounds.
Oh, I got some gear from that? Oh. Alien flat. Oh hell yeah, we'll rock that. Stop that. That is neat. I like this one. Got a skill point. Oh, there's something in the codex, but we're going to talk with everyone. What am I do? We're going to talk with everyone first. We'll read the codex, and then...
You've defeated the Master of Chaos, but I can still sense rage within you. This may not be the end, but just the beginning of something else for you.
Might as well.
Khazen, your mission is not over. Chaos is still at large. Become stronger. Fulfill your pact.
This is where... some of these up. All right. What we'll do, we're gonna read the codex. I think I only got like one or two things to talk about, and then I'm going to look up the other endings on YouTube, and we'll credit whoever, whichever video I watch, just to see them, just to see what differences there are, if any. And then we'll discuss thoughts and everything. I kept quiet during the credits because if that gets flagged for copyright, it's much easier to meet that section, and I didn't want to risk. Didn't want to risk talking about someone giving thoughts or feelings and then having that be missed out. Yeah, excuse me. Reese, a priestess of the Church of Peltlas, was awakened once more by her lover Ozma. Transformed into a corruptor, she spilled the blood of countless clergymen and women in a murderous crusade. Led by her desire to cleanse the world of impurity and her longing to unite with Ozma, Reese made her way to the Great Temple. With his lover murdered by the Emperor's greed, Ozma conducted an experiment after experiment in an effort to turn back the hands of time, but the body that woke was but an empty shell, and the lover he once knew was nowhere to be found. Ozma, the Master of Chaos, is an old friend of Khazen's and the greatest mage of his time. In order to defeat his Mar the Berserk Dragon, he needed transcendent power, and by mastering Chaos, he was able to wield much greater destruction. With the power to save the world came the power to destroy it. Ozma wished to use Chaos to bring his ideals to life. Okay. Game. Good game. Go ahead. But that there. So it helps if you know how to spell. Also helps if you spell correct. Don't need to know how. Okay. Like why? Two-way? Yeah, two-way. They did the music for that part. Okay, I didn't even notice that. I need to see. I want to see all endings. Okay, let's. Okay. So this up over here. All right. This is thanks to Ruben925. Thank you, 925, for writing this. Excuse me. Apologies for a sneeze. Oh shit. Well, so this is the revenge ending. This is the normal ending. You tell Dafarona you want revenge. So there's only 2 phases for this ending. Arfel reduced to ruins, leaving Khazen with nothing. The way of killing Ozma with his hands now, deep hunting on air that clings to him. Okay. Despite knowing there's nothing more to be done, he returns to the place where Ozma's memory still lives. Okay, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit because okay. So far it seems really similar.
I see now. Of ripping the world apart with your hatred.
Okay, so there's just no diary. So we don't know the truth. I see.
Phantom. It's time for you to return to where you came from.
I cannot. Charon commands me to stay. Chaos still remains, and so must I.
Okay, so the normal ending is just okay. Just fucking sad. It's depressing. You have no idea why anything happened. So it looks like for the chain ending and the true ending is the one we got. The chain ending, they both had the phase 3. So the normal ending, you don't get a phase 3, so you don't get that extra bullshit. We'll go to ending 2 and take a look. This is not the Death Verona and choose I want to talk to Ozma. was different. That cutscene is really well made, so I wanted to rewatch it again. It's all over. The Empire fell, reduced to ruins, leaving Khazen with nothing. So I know there's nothing more to be done. He returns to the place where Ozma's memory still lives. Okay, let's see. Bias.
Phantom, it's time to return to where you came from.
I cannot. Charon commands me to stay. Chaos still remains, and so must I.
Ozma, I'm sorry.
Okay, so yeah, that wasn't as substantial as I was thinking it might have been. Nothing against it. Nothing like, you know, not like that's the end of the world or anything. Just, I thought they were going to be a bit more. So it looks like it was just basically just variations of normal ending. You didn't quite. I don't know how to phrase this. In the normal ending, it looks like you didn't quite bring all the weapons that you needed, or bring all the tools that you needed to win. So you end up just. That's why Alison gives a little smirk, because it's like, you didn't really defeat me. You just stopped me for now. And then in the chain ending, it's like you use the tools, but you want to talk to him, so now Kazan's depressed. But the truth ending is all about figuring out what was pulling the strings, what caused the problems to happen. So, okay. I'm glad I got the true ending, because the other ones were just variations. That's fine. Let's do a little overall thoughts. Let's talk about everything. Overall, the game was great. Excuse me, I do apologize for that. Overall, I thought the game was great. I thought it was an amazing experience. I don't know, on the IGN scale, solid 9. Easy for me. I could see some people want to go to an 8 though. There is some grievances here and there, some smaller stuff, but overall the game was great. It's for a universe that I know very little about, and from what I understand, this is kind of it's going off of old, like the Dungeon and Fighter universe is kind of its own thing. And I know for this game they wanted to make this be like an accessible thing and be like, okay, if you don't know anything about the series, it's fine. Bam. People that do know about it, they probably know about some lore stuff and some of the details ahead of time, but this was a chance for them to be like, here's a series. And hey, as far as an entry to get me interested in the franchise, this is a good one. I might take a peek at some stuff, probably on my own time. I know the game, like, see, when the songs were playing, I was taking a peek at the sales numbers and stuff like that, and I got mixed words from like Reddit, from Reddit, the best source of information. That's why I was like, I'm not sure if I trust all that stuff, and because a lot of the stuff that people were talking about there was like, trust me, bro. And I was like, not sure if I 100% go. I'm with that, and some of the other official magazines and stuff that have spoken about it. the game had, it sounds like, from what I understand, looking at everything, because again, like some sort of news sites were not really the most credible places, and some of them were. And there's also the fact that like some places weren't really talking about, like, how do I phrase this? They weren't really talking about how credible. There wasn't like really any sources. They were just like, trust me, bro. So, from what I understand, the game had solid sales numbers in the beginning, and it's not really clear how well it did overall. They do, I believe they consider it a success, in at the very least, both critically and from people that have played it. And that game had like a solid player count on like Steam. Like, fuck, on Steam it had 135,000 players, or 134,000 players concurrently, which that's nothing to shake a stick at. Like, if you, because like most games, like hell, like what? Let's take a peek. I'm gonna look at Steam charts. I can pull that up right now while we're talking about it. Let's see. I'm the weirdo that. I mean, for uh, article, yeah, that's well. According to Steam charts, it had 32,000, but according to a number of news articles, I'm quoting 136,000. But I know that Steam chart is not the most accurate thing in the world. Regardless, they had a good number of people playing concurrently, anywhere from 30,000 to 130,000. I know the game was relatively successful. I don't know how much they spent on the game and how much they needed to recoup. And from what I understand, like it had like a pretty good launch on PlayStation as well. Like, as far as like the charts and everything, but I don't know all the details. We'll probably find out for sure, like, not a couple months down the line. I know the game's getting a lot of good word of mouth right now. I think overall, though, like I said, I really loved the game. That was amazing. There was, yeah, the lot of the parts that I struggled with, or the parts that I had a lot of difficulty. I will fully admit that's on me. I am very rusty with Souls-like games, and I love difficulty in games. I love playing games on super hard difficulties and shit. I turn shit up all the time. The only games I don't do that on are games where I feel that the difficulty is just completely arbitrary or not fair, and it's just pure damage numbers. I'm not really a fan of doing damage punches. But this game had a really good balance. It, like, I was telling a friend of mine, it's like if you took a Souls-like game, and then you combined, but then you gave it, you had enemies, bosses, and yourself. You gave all three abilities and combo moves from Devil May Cry, and then you sprinkle all over that some Final Fantasy, especially the Final Fantasy 16 cast. Like, holy shit, it was wild here in Ben Starr. Ben Starr is a great voice actor. He's amazing. Like, I loved him as Clive, and that, like, I know he has said that was like that's his only thing he ever did. He was happy that he did Final Fantasy, and he's happy he did Clive, and that was amazing. But he did a really good job with Khazen here. All the voice actors did a really good job. I thought everyone did a really good job. And as far as the characters are concerned, I guess we'll focus on the characters for a second here. Then we'll go back to we'll just bounce around. We'll bounce around. It's fine. The characters are fine. Like I said, a lot of the story and the characters, there's not many surprises. There wasn't many like, oh, that was a big twist. I like Ozma, like initially I wasn't sure what direction we were going with the story. So I wasn't sure if like, is Ozma the villain? Like in the intro cutscene clearly establishes him as like a potential villain or something's happening with him at least. But you know, and they're setting him up like, oh, he's my best friend and all this stuff, but he was also killed. And so like the first 5 hours of the game, first 5, maybe to even 10 hours, there was a kind of a mystery of what the fuck is going on. Why is the world kind of starting to fall apart? We're here in the fuck off mountains, and now as we're coming out of the mountains, go back to the rest of the empire. Why is everyone dying? And what's with all the monsters? And why is everything going wrong around here? Other than that, though, there weren't really any twists or surprises, and unfortunately, if I could give one major gripe of the game, I really wish they would have like give us a codex of all the characters ahead of time, and maybe even give us a cutscene establishing a lot of the characters ahead of time before the bad things happen, because you know, like Scalpel and Princess Lena, you know, as interesting it was to learn about both those characters, when you first meet them, they are the monster corrupted version, and then like maybe you will find out some details ahead of time, but then it will be you'll fight them, and then you find out a lot more stuff after the fact. And it's one of those unfortunate realities of like when a character dies in a story, sometimes it can be more difficult to truly try and build they try to build sympathy and details about that character sometimes after the fact. It takes a lot of work to do that properly. It's why a lot of stories try to build sympathy for a character ahead of time and then they get axed. I think they did a fine job. Again, this is what I was saying earlier, like in a previous stream. You don't have to subvert my expectation. You don't even have to surprise me. You could tell a story where I go, oh, I know exactly where we're going with this. Halo Revenge, probably there's gonna be some like a twist that, you know, the person that we're after probably isn't the real culprit, and technically I was right twice because like, oh, we're after the Emperor, and it looks like the person we never got to the Emperor. The Emperor was already fucking dead for a while because Ozma got to him, and Ozma got corrupted by chaos and went fucking crazy, and then caused the ruin of the world. So yeah, things didn't go so well for everyone else involved. Other than that, it's like, yeah, almost every section, it was like, oh, we need to go find these soldiers. They're our best soldiers. Hopefully they're still alive. And I'm like, they're going to be dead. They're going to be dead, and they're probably going to be corrupted, and we're going to have to fight them. Oh, look at that. Exactly what I thought. But you don't have to subvert my expectations. It's okay for your story to be predictable. It's okay for your story to be exactly what I expected to be, as long as it's good. And I think the game did a good job. It was lighter on story than I thought it would be. I thought there would be more cutscenes, more dialogue, more scenes of characters interacting. I thought we were going to have way more scenes of like building everyone up. Way more, like I thought we were going to have like way more interactions in the crevice area than we did. I thought we were going to have a lot more, personally. I mean, when the game started, I was kind of shocked, like, oh, we're just in it. Like, everything fell apart. We're here now. And then you're in the mountains, kind of just running along, not really knowing what the hell's happening. And then when you start to figure out what's starting to happen in the world, like, chaos is around afoul, you're trying to like go, okay, let's go find all the old people the people that we used to work with, the everyone else in the grand companies. What? They're all dead except Yulian. Yulian was the best boy. Him and Xylence. Xylence was best boy and was taken from us too soon. But for him, I was really hoping that his storyline wouldn't go the way I thought it would. Yulian's story I was glad that Yulian's story was, hey, his family's actually okay, and Yulian survives. I was like, okay, thank you. I was worried that, I literally said, like, when I walked around the corner and Boris was the boss fight in there, I was like, okay, Boris killed his family. And maybe either Yulian's gonna be a broken man or he is gonna die. And it's like, no, turns out they're fine. So I'm like, okay, good. Because Kristen was also cool. I liked that he was a solid character, and it kind of sucked that Pavel died before we could really talk to him. And it was because it turns out actually Pavel's a good guy. I know I didn't really the relationship chart, but I'm pretty sure like the few that I did not read about, it would just basically summarize what we just saw. So, Ella was like the one I was kind of like, it was a bit of a head scratcher because I liked her well enough, but she was rather basic as far as her characterization was concerned, and then she dies, gets captured and dies, you have to fight her. And then unfortunately, it's like way later you get like a side mission that details more of her backstory. And honestly, I think it would have been a little stronger to have. Yeah, I think that side mission would have been stronger, or like not even a side mission, but like the cutscene that showed like, oh, she was actually a kid when Khazen was young, and sorry, she was a kid and when Khazen first came through, and she wanted to be just like him, and you know how she was going like, hey, you protect everyone, I want to protect you now, and let me help you, right? I want to stand by your side. I think that cutscene would have been better suited a little earlier in the game, especially before she died, because kind of it was one of those things where like after the fact, it was like, oh, okay. I mean, this twists the knife a little bit, but it didn't really do much for me, unfortunately. I felt worse about Xylence, admittedly. That's just me, though. But I did like Elmaya's character, and I liked a lot of the characters. That's the thing, is I don't think there was anyone in the cast that I thought was bad. You know, a lot of the characters I liked well enough. They were fine. Some of them were more noteworthy than others. I liked Yulian a lot. Tristan kind of faded into the background, unfortunately. Yeah, I liked him, but like Yulian felt like there was more stuff going on with him. Ella Main was there for like the first while, and then she's not there for the rest of the game. The Dark Elf lady, I forget her name. Unfortunately, on my head. She was cool, but they didn't really do much. I thought there was going to be a bit more involving her. I thought, actually, the three characters are there. I thought they were going to be a bit more involved in like the finale in some way. Like they were going to help you get to the door, and then maybe they were going to either A, perish, all of them were going to perish, or B, they would like hold the line or something like that. But nope, they were just hanging out. The merchant that hung out with you the entire game, he was fine, I guess. Didn't really add much other than being like, wow, this is cool. I'm a kid from the country. I've never been to the city before. It's like, okay, cool enough. I like the blacksmith dude. Sounded like he walked straight out of Skyrim. And some of the other characters, they were fine. Again, everyone was fine. I wouldn't really say nothing was really that memorable other than like two of them. And one of them was like a small little side quest character, like Xylence. I wanted Xylence to stick around. I thought, I get what they were going for. Like, okay, he got corrupted by the shard. I really wish that Khazen didn't give him the shard. The scale, but. And I get it was an excuse to fight that boss again, and it made Xylence's story more tragic. But I was kind of hoping that he would like hang out with us and be like another character that would be kind of part of the story, like this, one of the dragonkin that was raised by humans and wanted to do good and be a good guy and help everyone. But unfortunately, he got turned into a bad guy. I did like that was a slight shock to me. Like I was like, okay, please don't. I was hoping the entire time I was hoping that he wasn't going to get corrupted by the scale, but it was a little wild to walk around the corner and find the guy that we were going to kill. The boss is dead, and then we go through the boss door, and it's like, oh, it's Xylence transformed. Okay. Yeah, story-wise, I liked it well enough. I will say, the one kind of gripe I had is that due to the nature of like us fast traveling around, hopping around, I didn't really have a clear idea of the world, unfortunately, like since it was all sectional, and since we barely ran into like civilians or normal people other than a handful of times, there was also a distinct feeling like I wasn't like, there wasn't like a part where we're walking through a village before it gets attacked. It's like, no, it's attacked already. So there wasn't, like, as far as the world building is concerned, like, the crevice is cool, and I like that as a location, but I would say that maybe having like a one or two, maybe like per area. I think having like a little hub location per area that has a whole bunch of extra merchants, like have the crevice be your, like use a mascot example. Have the crevice be your Normandy, where you could have a merchant there and you do all your stuff there. Everyone you want to talk to is there. But then give us like a small hub location. It doesn't be even huge. It could be like one, like the equivalent of one little spot in the crevice, but it could have been like per zone, like a handful of people are there, like some merchants that sell unique gear, or like each merchant would sell the gear set, but the blacksmith, you could craft it, you know, to spend money on it. Something like that. I don't know, might have been nice. But aside from that, because then like you also could have had like opportunity to like talk to characters that are in that zone, and hell, it could even be something where after you beat an area, and like aside from the final zone, the first three zones, you could have had like, okay, you completed the area, now you unlock the hub location where everyone's like, hey, you helped cleared out the mines, you cleared out the temple, you cleared out the mountains, it's safe for us to go back to the village now, or go back to town, and let's talk. And then like the final area of the game could have been devoid of that, or maybe you could have been a surprise, like a welcome surprise of like, hey, you saved us from chaos, where we could rebuild the empire now, or something like that. I don't know, but I also thought the crevice was going to get way more use. I thought it was going to be much larger than it was, and it's like, oh, there's a whole corner over there that is just not used. It's just like a alternate path, and like, to be blunt, it was kind of weird to go that alternate route and be like, oh, I don't even why do we have this alternate path? It's kind of seems a little pointless to me. While I'm thinking about this, I'm gonna look at what the jar man, what his thing. Okay, let's see what he gives. The question. Okay, he just gives you access to stuff. Okay, he doesn't actually give me anything. He just says thank you. That's good enough. Anyways, combat in the game was also really fun. Like I said, Souls-like, more of the Sekiro stuff of like being able to like counter and bounce around with like some of the mix of Devil May Cry combos and abilities and stuff. As you saw, I didn't bother with any of the spirit focused abilities because in my head I'm like, I just rather have the javelin. And two, like some of those abilities looked really cool and really fun to use. And actually off screen, I did dick around a couple sessions back. I did dick around with some of them just to see what they were like, and which I probably inflated my playtime by like an hour or two. it was just me like going back to an area and just testing some of that stuff out. And like the one that I probably would, if I did keep beating them, it would have been like the block. But ultimately, I'm like, like as cool as it is, they were cool abilities, but they were expendable resource, and I don't know. For me, I'm like, yeah, I just don't need to add another complication to my tool set. And the last thing I would want to do is, you know, potentially even try to rely on it. Plus, like being able to just free up Spirit for basically only using it for javelins meant that I could just only use it for javelins, and also freed me up so I don't have to worry about, you know, not using them. I will say, as far as like, you know, when it comes to gameplay and difficulty, I mentioned before, so the Traka boss fight overall was fine. I just didn't like the spam that she did, because like, okay, like, for example, Ozma, when he does his, you know, Gates of Babylon shooting blasts at you, I was able to dodge those for the most part. There was like a couple times I died to him, or a couple times I took a lot of damage to it, but I was able to dodge those just fine. And I'm sure there's gonna be some people who'll be like, oh, I handled Traka just fine. What are you talking about? But they came, like, the problem was that they came so fast, it was really hard to dodge all of them, and then the second set of projectiles are at a different speed, and it's also really difficult to deal with. Also, this Traka was just kind of like that's a super annoying boss, but she had certain moves that were annoying to deal with. And I'm not really sure either way if they were in a fun way or a bad way. But, you know, like a lot of the other bosses of the game were fine. You know, Blade Phantom was like the real first boss of the game, arguably speaking. I mean, technically you had the Dragonkin dude, and you also had the Big Yeti, but Blade Phantom was like the real, this is the wall that you gotta get past. It was like the first real boss. A lot of the other boss fights were fine, and I really enjoyed. Like, Reese was a lot easier than I expected, seeing with like Princess Lena and stuff, and then the Dark Elf. Hismar was annoying. I think that for me, I think that other than Ozma, I think that's the boss I spent the most amount of time with. Maybe Blade Phantom. Those three were probably for me the hardest bosses. Blade Phantom, partly because I was still using a great sword and I was still getting used to the game at that point. So Blade Phantom was a wall of I had to get past this, but I didn't spend that long. I only spent like an hour or two on him, maybe 3. I think it was like 3 hours. But and Ozma, obviously, I spent 7 hours last night, and I only spent like less than an hour today kicking his ass. But Ismar was frustrating because while I did not spend nearly as long as I did on Ozma, because he's to be expected. I had to go through 3 phases of a gauntlet against this and the final boss of the game. Of course, it's gonna be a little harder. Hismar was annoying, and the frustration wasn't actually because of his difficulty or anything else. Like, spectacle wise, it was cool. It was cool to fight the big dragon, or at least a version of the big dragon that Khazen was famous for defeating. The problem came from his hitbox. Genuinely speaking, so like the spider boss, Koshketa, or whatever the fuck she was called, she was fine because you could target her giant pinchers, or giant forelegs, or petapeps. You could target them, and you could actually like break them off and do a lot of damage. Hismar, it was a combination of a couple unfortunate factors that I don't think the game was properly built for. Because the game, for everything else, it's designed around enemies that are on your same level as you. You notice there's there's a problem with the bat creatures, and I think there's a reason why the bat creatures, there's only a handful of them in the entire game. There's like a dozen of them, because they fly around and they're very hard to deal with, and most of your kit for any weapon type isn't really built to deal with them. So you're relying on using a javelin, you're relying on them to come attack you and do counterattacks and stuff, and those guys were annoying as hell. Especially because they like half the time they were always near a big fucking ledge, and they had a potential to try to knock you off a ledge. Like that last little one was a little frustrating. So that one was like those guys I didn't actually really enjoy fighting that much. And Hismar is like even more of a complication because Hismar, you can only, I was like the entire time, like for the first few tries I tried to, and even ever so often after the fact I would try it, I tried seeing if I could swap the targeting and like move the analog stick around, see if I could try and deal with him. And like you couldn't target his horns that were weak points that you could like break apart, and you only could really target his head, like because that's the only one that would like would benefit you with any reasonable amount of damage. But also it was also awkward because he was always like raising his head up and down and everything. And if he had more moments of his head was low to the ground, or more moments where he would get knocked to the ground, or there was things you can do to knock him to the ground, that would have been fine. In fact, they honestly should have, in my opinion, they should have made that fight a bit more of a spectacle boss fight, where maybe you could knock over pillars onto him, or maybe have like a replenishable ballista that you could go up to. Like there's like 4 around the arena, you know, and like you had to run to one and like shoot him down and like do a big damage phase to him, and then walk around the arena over and over again, firing them off until you hit a certain phase. I don't know, stuff like that. Like maybe they should have went more spectacle and made it less of like a difficult boss, but more of like let's just have a fun spectacle boss because it's a giant dragon, right? But unfortunately, he was just really frustrating because I couldn't really do much to him with most of my kit, and I had to really like focus on like with very brief windows of doing damage. And you also saw, because of how big he is, when he would fall over, I would half the time I ended up underneath him, and I had to either, you know, try to rush to his head to get some damage off, or worse, I would get stuck inside of him and I could not move because some parts of him you could actually run in through and some parts you can't. And not to mention, like the other unfortunate thing is, unlike almost every other boss in the game, where if you got stuck to the edge of the arena or not, you're fine, Ismar, due to how big he is, how the nature of his boss fight and everything, if you got stuck on the edge of the arena, it actually made things really awkward and actually kind of unfun. So it made what should have been a really fun spectacle fight into a, in my opinion, a frustrating endeavor that should have been much easier. Not easier. Should have been. I feel like that boss fight needed a pass over to make it more playable. And again, maybe this is me. Maybe I missed the one, had the bad time with it, but I genuinely believe that they probably would have had I think it would have been a better time overall if they just went the route of, hey, let's just, hell, maybe make Hismar even bigger and then just make it so, like, you know, he comes up to you and you do damage phases, then he walks away and does something crazy, and then you do the damage phases. I don't know, it's just, his fight was more frustrating. It's probably the most frustrating fight in the entire game that actually I was not having fun with. And I should have had a lot more fun than I was. And I know there's some stuff I could do, and I was trying to do to make it more enjoyable, make it more worthwhile, but it still was. But then we go to Ozma, final boss of the game. Also was fun. Like, even despite the fact that I spent, you know, 8 hours total fighting him, he was fun. I liked the different phases. I do appreciate that the first phase is still difficult. You have to perfect it essentially and burn through it really quickly and really well. I appreciate that the second phase is a complete flip from the first phase, where in the first phase you could be really aggressive and you want to be aggressive with him and you want to stay up on him. The second phase, you still want to stay up on him so he doesn't do any projectile bullshit, but you have to play way more passively and way more defensively to wait for really specific counter windows. And then the third phase is just a complete act of desperation as a continuation of the second phase. But yeah, overall, other than like a handful of enemies here and there, like the The mutated spider human creature, I liked that one. That was fine enough. What I didn't like is that he did like a 11 hit combo spring that was very difficult to either block properly or dodge properly. And I found that the best method was just to just run away from him when he started that and then block like the last 2 hits or dodge those, because it was a lot better than just sitting there and just trying to block every single one, then getting comboed into death. I also found, and like this is kind of the reality of the game, but I also found that the game definitely does not like it when you have more than like 5 people, 5 enemies in a room, and it kind of struggles with handling it sometimes, because not so much in that the game stuttered or anything like that. No, it's that the combat wasn't really designed for that shit. Because you will ever like you have 5 enemies and they'll all do a light attack at different intervals, and it'll just if you fail to block one, you're getting infinite spraying around and you can't do shit. So there's a number of times like I would drop into a location and I'll be like, oh shit, there's like 7 zombies around me. Let's just swing and get most of them out of the way. I did enjoy the weapon types, by the way. Like I said, I started the game for the first third with the greatsword. I loved the greatsword, and I lost my mojo with it when I went to the spear. I did experiment with the dual wield, and the dual wield was fun. The greatsword was fun, the dual wield was fun, but I fell in love with the spear, and I stuck with the spear the rest of the game. Mostly because I felt like what I could do with the spear, I could do way more with than I could do with the greatsword or the dual weapons, unfortunately. I do kind of wish... Now, I understand why this isn't the case because of how extensive the skill trees are and how many points you invest into them, but I do kind of wish that we could have had like weapon sets swapping. Like, since there's only 3 in the game, I would have actually been kind of cool with, I would have been okay with like being able to swap to a greatsword or swap to a dual wield. Now, granted that they probably would have had to limit the skill point pool or the amount of abilities each weapon would have if they were going to go that route with it, or give you way more skill points overall. But I think I would have actually liked them to give me that option to like swap between them, like maybe not to say mid combo. I mean, that might be difficult to do. I mean, it would have been cool to be able to do shit like that, but at the very least to go, all right, let's, and like a boss is about to do an animation of them charging up. All right, but use the spear. Let's swap to the greatsword. Let's do some more damage. Let's focus on blocking. Or, okay, I got the boss down and they're staggered. Swap to the dual wield. Let's just do a whole bunch of damage, right? I think that would be cool, but that's fine. Overall, the first Berserker Khazen, great game. It surprised me in many ways. I thought the animation was great. The art style was great. Characters were solid. Voice acting was amazing. Bad Star killed it along with everyone else. The music was really good. Now, granted, there was a lot of tracks that kind of blend in the background, but there were some tracks that were like, oh, this is very melancholic, or this is very interesting. It was interesting when they would bring in the guitar riffs for certain bosses, like the Blade Phantom and some other ones. I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's do that. And then, like, some of the big, like, Race's boss fight and Ozma's boss fight and the credit songs clearly were these are the money songs. We put effort into this. Also, I really appreciate that for 99% of the game, whatever armor I was wearing was what was shown in the cutscenes. That's not every game does that, so it's cool when that happens. So yeah, overall, I thought the game was a great time. It was great. It was amazing. It sounds like they're going to set up for a sequel. From what it seems like, the sales numbers were pretty solid overall. With maybe they didn't hit every target they wanted to, but it sounds like at least initially they did pretty good. I know it sounds like that the developers and the company behind the DNF universe, they want that to become more than what it is right now. With that being said, I would totally be down for a sequel to this game. And since the True Rending definitely sets up for a sequel. Things I would like to see for a potential sequel would be a couple things. One, we should have the transmog, the appearance menu available from the start. Don't have that be an update. Don't have that just be a new game plus thing. Have that available from the start. That way you can look how you want to look, but also get the armor stats you want to have. And hey, if those align, sweet. If they don't align, well, you can look how you want to look. Second thing, when it comes to appearance, it could be basic. It doesn't have to be extensive, right? But it would be nice to have dye options to dye the armor. And it doesn't have to be, because I know like this isn't like the biggest like the game developer in the world. This is like, I think this is the definition of like AA development, right? I think what you could get away with would be like 10 basic colors, and like have like a primary, secondary. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just primary, you know, like the armor I was wearing, like the chest piece, like the armor color on top, and then like the secondary is the under pieces. You know, you could just do something like that. And hell, the dyeing system could be even more basic than what, like, you could have a more basic armor color look than the default armor color would be. And again, it could be like, 10 colors. It could be like, oh, just the most basic blue, basic red. It doesn't have to be like variations of either. I mean, if you want to, that's great, but I know it's a lot of work to implement that properly. So I think like having a system where I could dye the look of my armor, so it'd be like, oh, I want to run around in a golden armor or silver or blue or something, would be nice. I think that would go a step further, because part of the deal with like my armor sets that I was rocking is that for the most part they kind of like went well with each other. There wasn't anything that was clashing too much. The benefit of like when you dye armor, like, you know, and as someone who plays a lot of Final Fantasy 14, I have 3,000 plus hours into that game. I spent a long time in the glamour system, and I have thoroughly been able to make certain armor sets that by default do not go well together, and able to make them look like they can work well together by just getting the right dyes together. Like, oh wait, I need to get white for this one, but I need to get pearl white for this one, and it looks mostly the same. Yeah, sure, up close for like a certain cutscene, it might not work, but overall, it's fine. It's fine. Some other things I'd like to see is like an expansion of weapon types. Again, maybe we could do something, maybe not necessarily swapping between all the weapons, but maybe swapping between two. Like maybe give me the option of like pick two. You know, let's just say, for example, like an expansion of weapon types is maybe let's add a mace and shield, right? A mace and shield combo. And I don't know. Then like a fifth one could be like a chain, a crazy chain thing that is, you know, like swinging chains around with like spikes on the end of them. Don't have to do anything crazy. You could literally just give us the same weapons again, and then like those two others, and then maybe give us the option to swap between two, and give us more skill points that could accommodate the ability to swap. Because for me, I would probably just go like spear and greatsword, to be honest, but the ability to like swap between two would be pretty cool. And the armor sets, the sets that we got in the game were fine. Obviously, expansion of that stuff. I don't think we need to do anything crazier other than like what we already had. Like, you know, head, chest, arms, pants, and feet. Like, that's fine. Something I would like to see in like a future sequel is maybe having a secondary playable character, maybe in a third. And I would say maybe we could go the route of different gameplay. Hell, maybe instead of having like different weapon types for Khazen, maybe that's what we could do is maybe make it so like Khazen's gameplay is more aggressive and even more focused on being agile. Maybe like blocking still works, but make it so you have to be really perfect with blocking, and make it him way more focused on agility and like just bum rushing and doing a lot of DPS. And then you can give us a character that is all about like a sword and shield, or a sword and mace that is all about being slow, being a big tanky thing. And then you can give us another character as like a mage, right? That is all about magic and completely different. Like, I feel like maybe giving us three characters that are really different, or even a second character as like a mage type, would maybe go far in the game. Hell, it doesn't have to be like a full-on secondary character that is fully implemented in like a complete other campaign or anything like that. It could be something as simple as, okay, you play as a mage character for like a handful of missions. You know, they have way less of an extensive skill tree. They have like, you know, like a God of War Ragnarok and Atreus is a great example, where Atreus' skill tree is way less extensive to Kratos because you're only playing as Atreus for a fifth of the game at most. It more accurate to say like a sixth or even a seventh, because you're playing as Kratos for all the major story stuff and for like all the side content, and then you swap to Atreus for certain narrative points, and half the time it's not even about combat, half the time it's about like narrative beats. But yeah, other than some of that stuff, like overall, game was great. I thought the game was a good time. Definitely would recommend it to anyone, and especially if you like Souls-like games with like sprinkling of Devil May Cry and Final Fantasy in them. Yeah, no. First Burger Khazen, crushed it. Had a lot of fun with it. I think this was a very worthwhile experience. So, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead to take a break. I'm going to use the restroom, get some more water. My father, check on a couple other things behind the scenes, and then I'll be back in like 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll start 13 Sentinels. We got plenty of time. Fuck yeah, I got 7 hours. We got plenty of time to focus completely on 13 Sentinels to make some progress in that game and see what it's about. Also, I let a friend know that I'm currently streaming it, so that way he will know about it. Okay. Thank you for people that have tuned. Oh, by the way, I'm swapping over to another game. I'll just say this. Thank you to everyone that has tuned into Khazen. Thank you to everyone that's come by, watched, viewed it, played it. Not played it, commented, called, or picked it out. I appreciate that. It means a lot. I do this stuff for fun. I have fun doing it. I'm not really concerned with like super growth. It's nice to grow, and you know, there is been a small but steady growth. And next couple days, I'm going to be doing some stuff behind the scenes that will hopefully expand that. But I'm not too concerned with it overall, to be honest. This is meant to be a fun gig. This is meant to be something I'm doing in my off time. That since I have, you know, a good chunk of free time. I got like 10 plus hours of free time a day. I figured, yeah, fuck it, let's go for this. You know, I'm doing other stuff behind the scenes. I'm spending time writing. I'm spending time being an amateur voice actor at best, and trying some other things out. But this streaming gig and content creation in general, it's been a lot of fun to do. As I basically do this when I'm not in front of a camera, minus talking nearly as much, to be honest. But I basically do this as is. So I was like, yeah, let's fuck it. Let's turn the camera on, stream it, see what happens. So becomes something that's cool. Doesn't, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, anyways, I'm gonna go to break. When I come back, we'll play some 13 Sentinels. All right, see you guys in a minute.